Hello and welcome to another episode of Bob and Dave's Loyalty Shop. Yeah, we've got a special guest here today, a brilliant sort of guru of marketing. Yeah, it's Mark McCulloch. Scottish name. He works for Supersonic or something like that. But he'll tell you all about it in a minute. Yeah, so shoot.
Hi, Mark.
Hello. Thanks for that.
I've been really looking forward to this. Thanks for coming on. I remember the first time I met you in 2017, you came in to help with a dining venture that I was on. And the minute you walked in and you started talking about marketing, I had a bit of a man crush. Because I've very rarely, seldom been in a room when somebody comes in and has such clarity of thought with regard to marketing.
It was a good day.
It was a good day.
I'm sure that happened when you first met me, Bob.
Yeah, I had a similar experience.
Yeah. Just take over. Anyway, go on.
So, Mark, obviously, you've had a fantastic career. You started your career in a lot of different ways, but brands such as lastminute.com, Barclaycard, Yo Sushi, Pret. What's been your favourite out of all those?
Before you answer, I just want to say, this is a bit like This Is Your Life. Do you remember that TV show? You went through that.
You got the red book?
I think what you're trying to say,
a little red book.
I think what you're trying to say is, it's been some time and I'm a bit rusty.
No, it's good. It's good. Sorry, shoot.
That's all right. So, favourite job? I mean, well, I guess going back, I maybe had two favourite jobs you didn't list. So, one was Our Price Records.
Oh,
when I was a kid,
I
which
failed
was
the interview.
The best.
I failed the interview for
Not
that.
at all.
I did.
Oh, you did?
I applied,
Oh, right.
yeah.
Which branch?
Wimbledon.
Yeah, quite right.
Yeah.
Hard lines. We only took the best.
Our Price Records.
Our Price Records.
Actually, vinyls, when vinyls were.
Yeah.
We still sold vinyl, mainly CDs by then, but all that.
Brilliant.
VHSs.
In the marketing department?
No, I was a shop assistant.
Yeah,
You
in
have
the
the
shop.
best job in the
Yeah,
world.
you have to start in the store. So when I applied for the graduate scheme, right, you get a letter back going, okay, well, you have to start in the store. So they sent me down to Wimbledon and I had the interview, and it was a guy that was trying to look like Morrissey. And
They all were.
And a lady who was trying to look like Susie and the Banshees, right? Mm-hmm. So I was like sitting there, not in a suit, but I was like sitting there in like my best kind of shirt and stuff. And they were asking me like, did I know all the categories? And they were trying to catch me out with band names and all that kind of stuff. And then the killer question came: what do you think you do when you're not helping people choosing vinyl? And I went,
Oh.
do you hoover the shop? And they went, yeah. But I still didn't get the job.
You look too straight, I think. You look too corporate. Yeah.
Morrissey definitely didn't like me.
Well, he doesn't like many people, really.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I was just a Saturday boy, but it was just one of my favourite jobs. And then I actually started life in proper marketing with all the music magazines. So NME, Loaded.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was my first job, doing the student schemes for them.
Right.
So I was a student brand manager on campus.
Yeah.
So covering Glasgow area for Loaded, Enemy, Melody Maker, music, all that stuff. So that was great. And then I had the drive time show with a mate on the radio for Strathclyde Uni. So we used that as a platform to then, sort of get the message out about buy your Enemy this week and bring all the bands to the campus and have gigs and da-da-da. So anyway, after I did that, did okay at it, and then I was offered, there was only one job going, and luckily I got offered it sort of out of the national managers. So that was me. So I finished my last exam on a Friday and I moved to London on a Monday, and my first experience of London was paying £5 in 1998 or 99 for a 99 flake cone on Tower Bridge.
Hang on, what year was this?
That was 99, I think.
Was it?
99 for 99.
Yeah, 99 flake, 99 year.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was pretty despondent from that moment on.
Yeah, welcome to the expensive world of London.
Yeah. That was
crazy.
But in terms of favourite
Glasgow's
job,
not that cheap though now, especially now.
wow, everywhere's gentrified, innit?
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah, everywhere's trying to put their prices up. But I've got a Scottish client at the moment, and I mean, you're having conversations around, can we raise a pint to over £4 and things like that? Where us sitting down here's going,
Yeah,
you know,
that's nice.
that would be lovely. So yeah, so that was it.
Good job none of us drink.
Yeah, I've given up.
Yeah.
And then what was the other thing we did? Best job, I think, in terms of the one you listed.
Yeah.
I think lastminute.com was
Really?
the best.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Yo Sushi.
Nah.
No.
No. Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
But in fact, funnily enough, a couple of photos just popped up on my Facebook lately of memories and stuff.
Yeah.
And one was me dressed as Santa, this time 13 years ago or something, promoting Yo Sushi's Christmas dinner in a role.
Yeah.
And then another one just popped up of me being in Japan for Yo Sushi, and I was speaking on stage. I think I'd just joined a few weeks, and I got sent out to Tokyo to represent Yo Sushi on stage.
Yeah.
And there was like TV stations there and national radio, and so I was speaking, but also had a translator.
Yeah.
So she's struggling with me anyway. So then you'd say something that you thought was funny, and then it would be silence, like tumbleweed, for like a few seconds, and you were like, "Oh God!" And then eventually you got a ripple of laughter. You're like, but yeah, I was on the stage for 3.5 hours that day.
Oh no.
Yeah, and I was like Godzilla, right, compared to everyone else,
Well, of
right?
course,
So, you know, and
yeah.
so the little desk they put you behind, like, it was like being back at school, you know, like back to primary school.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so it was good, you know, but no, last minute, because what lastminute.com did was Brent and Martha, who founded it, they just hired a bunch of really bright, willing kids.
Yeah.
And they pretty much let us do what we wanted.
Oh, okay. Kid in the sweet shop.
So not so much Lord of the Flies or anything like that, but you felt a certain amount of responsibility.
Yeah.
But there was no micromanagement, or you should do this, or you know. So it was just a real great bunch of people that were sort of in their mid to late 20s,
Yeah.
just like tearing up the world.
Sounds brilliant.
It was amazing. It was
Yeah.
amazing. It was rock and roll, total rock and roll.
I imagine it was.
Yeah.
And that was in central London.
I was Victoria.
Based there, yeah.
Yeah. So we were Buckingham Gate first, and then we moved to Victoria Street above the Labour. So it's quite funny. One of the days I come in, not that it's a funny subject, but I come into the office one morning, and there was this lady who was super glued to the revolving door for this, you know, not just the oil, but it was one of these type things, like way back in the day.
Yeah.
So I was always one of the first. No, it was a shame. That would have been fun. Yeah, but I was coming in, and I was always one of the first in because I was coming from Milton Keynes at the time, and it was one of those where you were kind of like going round the revolving door with her, like, you know, to like sort of, can I just get in, please? And then the police were out and all the rest of it.
Really
Yeah. And she super glued herself to the door, like, you know. But it was one of these. But yeah. So, but no, there was just so many good times, and also you got loads of like music backstage passes with your job and travelling everywhere, obviously, and you know, we had a wee outfit in Australia, so I used to go out there and see that they were doing okay, and
brilliant.
it was fantastic, and I was 27,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So
What
you know,
a great way to spend your 20s.
yeah. Oh, it was phenomenal, phenomenal, and
Travelling the world as well.
yeah, I mean, you just got to see so much, and you were spoiled.
What was your
So,
job there? Sorry.
So I started out as a marketing manager, just for everything that was non-holidays. Right. So that was everything from theatre breaks to
experiences.
sex toys, which there was no returns policy on, obviously. You know, there was like gifts, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then on top of that, you...
I used to work in the returns department.
Testing?
No, that's been used.
How did you detect
Box that one back up.
So anyway, so that was there, and then sort of went through the ranks and ended up sort of global head for the brand sort of thing. So eventually, I was 27, 28, whatever, and then I get papped out basically. So you know, just come to the end of my time, you know, there was a new boss that came in. He had a different view to what I had. What was really interesting, I'll tell you about this. This is a really crazy. I don't think I've ever told many people this. So how I got fired or let go or moved on was I was helping him restructure Europe.
Okay.
Of the marketing department.
Yeah.
So we'd been through quite a few rounds, and it was like hundreds of people, and we were restructuring the thing. And we're going through it, and he's just like, "Oh yeah, maybe move that, do that, do that. Can you just cross that job out there?" And I was like, "That's mine. That's my job." And he went, "Yeah."
Oh.
And that was pretty much it.
Oh.
But then, to be fair to him, he did offer me another job in another department to do something else, but it was out of
That is
kindness.
how David Brent would. That's how
That is
I would
exactly.
do it. Because I can't actually tell you straight.
Gareth.
Yeah, I would have just stared at the camera,
Yeah.
you know, with those
And
Martin
that's
Freeman eyes.
you. That's you gone. So every cloud. This is me above you, circled.
Assistant too. So anyway, so that's how I got let go there, and it was such a shame because it was like a great girlfriend dumping you, who you just loved.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. What a great
Strangely,
experience.
just very quickly, right? So I was somewhere where we were at an awards do, and we'd won a load of awards. And my colleague on my left, who I won't name, who worked in legal, was very drunk, and he said, how are you going to feel about next week when they let you go?
What just came out?
It just came out, right? And I'm like looking at him, and we've just won all these awards, and I kind of went, huh?
What a great night. Oh,
So
Thanks, yeah.
So and then he was giving me pointers, which is even better. I'd tackle it this way.
Let me just record that.
that
yeah.
ruined the party, that made, didn't it?
Actually, no, it was all right because I was so drunk I didn't remember it till the next day.
All right.
you know, you wake up the next day and you go, did I dream that?
Something wrong.
Yeah.
I've got the
Yeah.
wrong feeling. But yeah, so anyways, that was it. But yeah, last minute, all day long. Yep.
Now, first time I saw you, you were public speaking, and you've just been talking about that, and you are an amazing public speaker.
Thank you.
Right, I'm just going to tell you that straight off the bat.
Have you done
I'll
TED
take
Talks? You've done
Do you know, weirdly, I've done a TED talk for the TED speakers. I was the star turn for them. But I've
right.
not actually done the TEDx thing and all that. Yeah. So I got a teeny bit of experience on that.
Yeah.
But I'm sort of fascinated by it. You know, that 8-minute speech. You did some of that with a bit of guitar.
Yeah, I could, easy.
Yeah, 8 minutes, two songs.
Yeah, people listened to me. Management guru, so they get tips. But what are you saying, Bob? Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I've come to a natural end.
You forgot.
Was that us? Short episode.
Podcast
Yeah.
is over. No, I was going to say, yeah, I've seen you speak. First time I saw you, and I thought, blimey hell, this guy's really confident.
Inspirational.
Inspirational. He was inspirational. And not only that, but he was like, everyone was listening to every word. He was like bringing them in and stuff. So it didn't surprise me when I kind of looked back when you were Spectacular and you started your first podcast. And do you want to tell me about some of the low rent clients and stuff that you one of your podcasts was with Gary V?
Yeah, I mean, very lucky, very lucky. But I think what got me into the podcasting was I saw the trend of it happening.
Yeah.
And I've just always been obsessed with radio. So when I was a kid, I did
course.
hospital radio and, sort of did little production jobs on local radio
yeah.
stations and all these things. And to be honest, it was my dream job. If you had to ask me what I wanted to be a radio DJ. I still do. Right, that's what I want to do.
So
but I'm not doing
I
it.
spent 3 years at university with a guy next to me who was blind as a bat, couldn't see the screen. So that's how we became friends, because he used to read my notes.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And he kept telling me the same thing, right? That man's called Toby Hanstis.
No.
Really?
You're
Wow.
joking. Man. Yeah, he's in Capital now, right?
Yeah.
Aye. So,
Mark, you
yeah.
don't mind me saying,
Not at all.
you have got a face for radio. No, you have, because a lot of DJs look, don't they? You know what I mean?
Well, because they vlog it now.
Yeah. That's the thing. Well, I was hoping you were going to say voice for radio, but yeah.
No, well, actually, your voice does match your face.
Okay,
And
that's
a lot
good.
of the time, when you hear people on the radio.
Yeah, you always look them up.
Yeah, and you think,
yeah.
oh, God, I never expected them to look like that.
That's Ken Bruce, really?
Yeah.
And by the way, he only got made MB the other day. Surely that's a knighthood, isn't it? He got the lower,
He's a legend.
phenomenal.
He really is. He's on Greatest Hits Radio. and
He's
like,
big transfer.
yeah. But, people like Steve Wright talking about face and voice.
amazing.
You'd never put his face to his voice.
That was a hop, skip and a jump into why podcasting.
Yeah.
And then, there was just a few I loved, like Adam Buxton and all that, the kind of early ones. And I just thought it'd be an interesting way to meet people and things like that.
So Gary V and Fatboy Slim, how did you meet them? How did that come about?
Can I just ask, for the viewers,
Yeah.
for the viewer,
Yeah.
if you don't know who Gary V is, please explain, Mark.
Yeah, so Gary Vaynerchuk
Yep.
is probably one of the most famous minds in marketing, digital business, social media, all that sort of stuff. And he started out working in a wine store, which was his mother and father's.
right. Yeah.
Was like $3 million a year or something like this it made. And then he started a YouTube video, much like Anderton's we were talking about off mic.
Yeah.
And basically day by day he did this thing called Wine Library, where he would talk about wines and how you taste them and all this. And just every day it would be one more viewer, and then eventually it sort of exploded. And also what he noticed was there was this thing called Google AdWords, which no one was really paying attention to. So he started bidding on terms like wine and red wine, buy boxes of wine, all that. And it exploded because all the traffic was seeing the ads and would go through.
Yeah.
So then from there, fast forward to around that time, or slightly before actually, I think it was 60 million, something like that. His dad's business was worth. And then what he did was he took that money he had made, and he was wasn't lucky at all. He talks about keeping luck in your pocket. He doesn't believe in it. Yeah. So he was very astute, and he basically bought shares in Facebook, which I believe he bought some or all of the shares of Zuckerberg's parents. He did I think he did Pinterest, Insta, anyway, whatever the list was, but I mean, it was every unicorn that you could think of. And
So
then that helped him.
He was on it early. He understood it early.
Oh, but that's his gift, is that he understands that they are miles. He was in
He's got
NFTs
foresight,
before anything. He was, and then it's kind of in and out. And what he talks about is day trading attention. So whatever it is that's going on at the moment, people are day trading against social media, podcasts, things like newspapers aren't effective anymore, but they might become effective again, or you're trying to reach a certain audience, or it becomes so cheap that you would do it. So he's just that's the way he thinks, is day trading attention. How do you do that? Where is someone's attention, and how do you get in front of them in the right way? So anyway, I followed him for a long time. He then had a new show called The Daily V, and he would put that out most days with D-Rock, so shout out to D-Rock, who did all his content and basically was his live 24-hour pretty much videographer and editor and all that, which we'll talk about content and why you shouldn't wait for something to be right, so we can talk about that. But anyway, so did all that, and in one of the Daily Vs I saw he was coming to London, so it was kind of early days. He was gettable then. He wasn't as famous as he is now. And I just tweeted him, I think, or wrote to him an email, guessed his email address, whatever. And I just says, look, you're coming to London, your London office. If you need to know restaurants, or you want to be introduced to some clients, or you just want to know how London works, or I'll happily do it for free,
Amazing.
And then he said yes. And then one of the days he was in London, and I was going to see him that night speaking, and then I got a phone call from Eric, who was his MD in London, who I got to know kind of really well in the end. And then Eric phoned and I had a booty call to go and see Gary in Hoxton Hotel in London that day. He wanted to see me, so I dropped everything, went, and then it was being vlogged, like our meeting that we had. So that was it, and then we kind of got on and just sort of remembered each other. If I ever saw him, he would, he didn't know me that well, but we'd sort of know who you are. And then Eric came to me and said, look, Gary wants to do something for you, because the question that Gary always asks, and I think that's a nice thing to ask in a meeting, what can I do for you? Because sometimes if someone calls a meeting, they want something from you.
Absolutely.
And there's never a two-way.
Yeah.
So that's a lovely thing. Yeah. So that was good. And then the Fatboy Slim one is really quick. So Norman lives in Brighton, obviously. Sort of knew him in the passing, really. I mean, don't really think he would know me that well. But I wrote to Danny, who's his best mate, who owns the Lagoon Cafe, Big Beach Cafe.
Yeah.
There. And then I just wrote to Danny, says, look, would you and Norman be interested in being in the podcast because of the cafe, but also Norman had invested in a few food businesses in Brighton and New York and different things. Yep. And then I woke up one Saturday morning with a bit of a hangover, and look, the first thing you do is look at your phone, text from Danny saying, I don't. And I was like, oh. But Norman does.
Oh.
So all gets set up. I mean, in both those I got those videos. I spent a bit of money to, because it was important.
Yeah.
But I'm so nervous. You can see I'm nervous. Like Gary V, I'm visibly sweating, big red rash around my neck, and really, thingy in myself. And then Norman as well. And I think with Norman it was because it's so important that he's local royalty as well. You don't want to be a pest, and you don't want to, be a star hugger and all that stuff. And then also you're sitting going, Christ, he knows the Beastie Boys. Like, holy crap, this is nuts. I mean, he's one of the most famous guys on the planet, right?
Yeah.
But so I got really lucky on that, and then. To be honest with the podcast, it's just about you have to enjoy it. Don't worry about the numbers too much.
Yeah.
As long as one person gets something out of it. I mean, the numbers have got decent, and it's been, 7-8 years since I've been doing it. But, I think you've just got to be in it for the long game, really.
He says the numbers are decent. 40,000 listeners.
That's pretty good.
Oh God, that's way back. So that is it's
That's the old stuff.
yeah. Also, not per week, not per week. But total downloads ever is must be nearly 200,000. I'd have thought now. Yeah,
I'd say
like
in the millions.
Probably.
Who's going to check apart from Bob?
Yeah. Sponsors.
Well,
Sponsors check.
Oh yes, that's true. That's true. Oh dear.
And on that subject, not because we're interested at all, but do
Blank
sponsors reach out to you, or do you?
I've been really lucky. I mean, initially what I did was I just put sponsorship slots in for free.
Yes.
Way back, because it makes you look bigger than you are.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so now I usually do headline sponsor and then space for usually 3 ads in the middle, but I'm open to, as long as it just doesn't get in the way of the content. Yeah. But I think it's more than acceptable for you to have some ads, because how else are you going to get paid to do it?
Job for next week. We'll get Gareth on the ads.
Yeah. Would you say it's crucial, the length of a podcast?
No.
It can be
anything
open.
Because everyone, so I went through a lot of this when, in the earlier days.
Yeah.
And you've got one end of the spectrum, Joe Rogan, whatever, 3 hours, and then you've got things that are 15 minutes and things like that. It really just depends on your audience and who they are. And I was obsessed about this 40-minute mark that everyone talks about. Maybe it's slightly different on video, but I don't know if it is, because lately... Yeah, go on.
I was going to say, does that come from YouTube? Because isn't a certain period of time before you get paid ads?
I don't know for sure, actually, but I think paid ads.
No, before you can
monetize.
actually start. Yeah,
monetizing.
So monetizing, you need to
videos.
have a certain size of audience. I think it's 1,000 people. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, and then a certain length. Yeah, of engagement.
And then when you make your content, you can choose how many ads you put in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once you're monetized, so you hit the criteria to be monetized, and then once you're monetized, what you can do is you can say, let's say this piece is 15 minutes long, right? You can wait till a really juicy bit, like I know we're talking about Gary Vee, right? And just as Mark gets into it, you just stick an ad in.
Yeah, which is frustrating. But
yeah.
I've not monetized YouTube yet or anything like that. I've not really focused on video at all. So I don't think there is a length. I think you just take feedback from your audience. They'll soon tell you. But what the feedback I got in the main was, I quite like yours being over an hour, because it's good for a workout or a commute.
Yes.
Because at 40...
Really good point. Really good.
And also, you focus on a particular niche.
It's super niche, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, one, it's your guru niche, I'm going to call it.
Okay.
But secondly, it's like, I listened to a few before coming on today, and your guests are really interesting. Right? So it's like you are hooked from like the first get-go.
Yeah.
Because I have seen other industry podcasts, right, where the first 5 minutes is just obviously the sponsors and stuff, right? Yeah. But then the presenter is just kind of going, "Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing."
Welsh.
Yeah. Whatever. I'm trying to disguise the real person. Yeah. But yeah, you know what I mean. So with yours, I tell you what, you're brilliant at. You're brilliant at letting them sort of come into their own and talking about their stuff. Yeah,
well, I think that's the most important thing of trying to be a good interviewer. You're constantly looking at the conversation to go, oh, I want to pull at that thread. And I always think, I don't think overthink it. It's just, if I want to know that, someone listening wants to know that. You know?
Yeah.
So I just always sort of pull at that thread. And I'm not too embarrassed or anything to go straight into, sort of weirder places. Yes. But also, pretty much every guest I ever have had on is a mate. Like, I know them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or there's some kind of
Connection.
family link, or I've worked at their company or whatever it is. So it's all safe. Whereas what you do get when you get to a certain size as well is constant. Someone's doing a book and they're a customer champion guru from Missouri, and I'm like, no, I don't know them. I don't. So that's why I think they will open up, and why I'm not kind of stilted. It's just.
It flows.
It's just a chat. It's just a chat with mates.
Yeah, because brilliant.
Yeah, I think that works.
Podcast should be. You're like the cool Stephen Bartlett.
Oh, God, yeah.
You're cool.
I wish I had the listeners. I admire him so much, and
I do too.
I was on Social Chain's podcast years back, but I think he's done great. Yeah, I mean, look at him now. Geez, he's superstar, right? It's just Zoe, Huel, all these great things. So yeah, he's doing great.
Yeah.
Big fun.
So, lastminute.com was a gas, right?
Magic.
And then you went into sort of hospitality.
Yeah, so hop, skip, and I jumped through Barclaycard. Didn't love it. It really wasn't the place for me at all.
Yeah.
Learned loads though.
Yeah.
And I just so to join Yo Sushi, I wrote Yo Sushi a ransom note.
Wow.
So basically, I found in the back of Marketing Week a ad for senior market manager, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I was always like, I loved Yo Sushi in the 90s. I thought they were ace. And I was like, it'd be kind of fun. And it was a huge wage drop, travelling to London, all the reasons, no.
Yeah.
But I just thought, I think that would be good. Between Yo Sushi and Wagamama, I wanted to work for one of them. So I was like, great. So anyway, I wrote them a ransom note, which just basically said, help, I've been kidnapped by a bunch of bankers, whatever else it said. And I went back to my uni days where we had a particular module which was about standing out at the application process.
Yeah.
So the reason I got NME, the student gig, which thousands were applying for, I sent them an NME called MMC, and it was an NME magazine of my CV and all my interests and
brilliant.
All that. So it was just how you stand out, right? So that's what. Anyway, I was super drunk at Blur in Hyde Park, and whenever that would have been, 2008, 2009, whatever it was, and I got the phone call. The boss of Yo Sushi wants to see you tomorrow, and I thought, oh crap, I'm really drunk.
Was that the original guy that started it already?
No, so it was Robin Rowland by then.
Oh, okay.
So no, Simon was away doing all other things, named Yo, so he had a license, I think, for the name Yo, so Yotel and all these things. But I was really lucky that when I got put onto the board, I got to have lunch with Simon, and he gave me my shares, and not that they were worth anything really in the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was great.
When you came up with the ransom note idea, was that something where you thought, oh, you know what? It's less money, it's travelling to London. I don't really care if I get this or not, but it does interest me. So I'm going to come up with something different.
Yeah.
And I'm going to prove to them that I'm different,
There's
and I'm
something
going to be
about you,
brilliant. So you sort of just threw it out there thinking that'll never come back, and then you're at Blur.
No, I was pretty
Are you
confident.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Great.
I heard a similar story. A friend of mine went to pitch the Extreme Sports Channel back in the
yeah. Remember that.
And when he went in, he was talking to the guy who founded it. And, and there was a surfboard in the corner of his office with someone's CV written on the side.
Oh, there you go.
And he went, that's pretty good. He goes, did you hire him? And he went, yeah, he's sitting out there.
Oh, brilliant.
That's
Good.
great.
Well, just on that, there was just reminded me another idea. I always wanted to work with Brewdog.
Yeah.
Right, sort of back in the day.
Cool.
I mean, luckily enough, I do work with them now. But, and I had an idea, drinks heavily involved in this. So I was slightly drunk one Friday night, and I thought to myself, I had this phrase in my head going, I would give my right arm to work for Brewdog.
Yeah.
So I went on eBay and I bought a mannequin arm.
No way!
Yeah, and it turned out it was a left arm, annoyingly. But I was going to video it getting tattooed. I was going to take it to a tattooist and get it all like, a sleeve, and then I was going to send it them, and and it would be part CV, part fun stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
To win the account. It wasn't to actually work for them at the time, it was to win the business.
Yeah.
And anyway, the arm started in the agency office, and my partners weren't really into it, so yeah, we didn't do it in the end. But
So this is ironic, because I remember having a
That would
conversation.
have worked.
I remember
I remember having a conversation with you that when you were at Yo Sushi, people used to send you the most amazing stuff through the post. Didn't someone send you like a parrot cage or something?
Yeah. So it was a birdcage, well remembered. So basically, if you're a marketing manager, director, whatever, obviously loads of people want to sell you stuff, right? Whether it's, loyalty stuff or it's, email marketing or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I just never ever picked up my phone, desk phone, because I didn't want the conversation. And it's just, I had everyone in place that I wanted. And then, didn't answer my mobile and all that. So they didn't have your email and whatever. So anyway, this really clever agency, I think they were called Studio Output, only around the corner. Yeah. And they sent a series of gifts to interest you. So basically,
to your office,
to my desk,
to reception.
I mean, it was only a small office anyway. There was no real reception. It was just
the only
like
way
that,
they could make you aware of them.
Yeah, it was just how can I get on their desk, So the first thing they sent was this parrot bird cage, and I'd been away for weeks, and there was this massive parcel on my desk, and everyone's like, "Thank God you're back. We really all want to know what this is." So all right. So anyway, I didn't even get my bag off, and I'm ripping it, opening it, and anyway, bird cage, but it's that kind of shabby chic sort of cream, enamel.
I know. This parrot is dead.
There was John Cleese was in there, and then so you opened it up, and then it wasn't that much of a gag really, but it was nice. But inside it said, if you love your brand, set it free, and it was like, oh, okay, interesting approach. Yeah. And then the next thing they sent was like a really expensive Harry Potter wand with it all inscribed out brand magic, and but it was just ways to But Gary V,
did it work? Did the wand?
Yeah, they got work.
Right, so the wand worked then?
Yeah.
So there is magic.
Yeah.
It's real.
Yeah, it's what. But I think it's just if you're a marketing person, like someone being that thoughtful about marketing. It's like if I see a great ad, I'm compelled to buy the thing because I think, well done.
Well done, yeah.
And you just thought you deserve.
You're thinking outside the box, yeah.
And if you're doing that for me, what are you going to do when I give you a brief?
Yeah.
Absolutely,
yeah.
But back to Gary V stuff as well. He's similar in that he's got this great book called The Thank You Economy. And what he does, for example, is say, pick some of your random customers on, that shop with you, let's say if it was this e-com thing. And not always the best spenders, but just some people but just send them random gifts of, kindness. So go online, stalk them a bit, see what they're into. So if they're into Manchester United or Oasis or, the latest coffee thing that's coming, whatever it is. Find something, a gig ticket, whatever it is. Yeah. And just send them it just because.
Yeah.
And it's all that kind of thinking. And I remember when I was at Pret, we had one lady in our department, and part of her, she's a designer, but part of her job was to doodle on the envelopes going back to people that had taken the trouble to write. People still, and they probably still do, used to write to Pret on paper.
Sure.
Still, they probably do.
Yeah.
But it was her job to doodle something kind of fun and a little message, and it's just that last 15%, it's that attention to detail.
It is, yeah.
It's really cool.
It's a big
and
thing.
It's personal as well.
You feel great.
Yeah.
Yeah. You feel great.
For all the talk of personalisation in the industry, and there's far too few examples of...
There's no personalisation. Yeah. It's rubbish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tick box exercise, that.
So tell me about Hospitality Rising.
Oh, yeah. So there's a slight Brewdog link with that as well, sort of back when it started. But basically it was COVID, so sort of bad times, and really bad times for specky Scottish beardy guys that make money from helping restaurants. So, so basically I was sitting one night, and David McDowell, who was the president of Brewdog, he's now at Stonegate, so like Slug and Lettuce and all these things, he posted a tweet, and it basically said, "This crisis is coming," and it was a link to a BBC article about staff shortages in restaurants and hospitality in general, because people had went home, people had come out the industry realising that, it was really hard work for maybe not to spend the money that they wanted, and, all these troubles that the perception of hospitality is about.
Yeah.
So that was 6th of May 2021, and then I just had an idea from a conversation I'd had with Kate Nichols, who leads UKH, UK Hospitality.
Yep.
So almost kind of our main representative in government, one of the three main ones really. And anyway, we were talking about Army Be the Best, but for hospitality, but this was, way before. And I always kind of had that thought in my head. And I just thought it was the best way to tackle it. Long term, could we go out and show hospitality for all the good points? Because with the Army ads, for example, not to be facetious about it, but they don't focus on the bad points, right? That you could get into trouble or accident or shot or whatever.
Yep.
So for us, it was about us going, well, actually, there's loads of great things, and we'll work hard as an industry on the things that aren't so good, and we're trying to turn it around. And actually, to be fair, the better companies to work for in hospitality are doing that anyway. They are, mental health, well-being, better wages, better care, all that stuff. So anyway, we just thought, right, what can we do about this? So that was me with a blank sheet of paper going, we want to attract the next generation of people into hospitality. And that was kind of it. And it's UK nationals.
Yep.
Because all the foreign people had left and there's no really foreign people coming en masse into the country. And what was funny, I was thinking about, there was an episode of Question Time one week, and this really posh lady from Richmond or something like Ealing said, this Brexit's all very well, but who will serve me my coffee and Pret? Right? And everyone laughed their heads off going, look at her, the racist and all that. She was right. She was right, actually, so she had good foresight. And then, so anyway, we're looking at all that, and it was like, well, the UK nationals, under 30 in the main, yes, you can go after 55-year-olds and all that, but we wanted to look at the biggest group and this generation that will help change future generations as well. So basically with those, they're almost too posh to pull rather than too posh to push, but too posh to pull a pint is kind of beneath them, right? So many people just see hospitality as beneath them. So it was, how could we change that? So went out and had an idea and said, look, Army be the best, hospitality, right, we need an agency and we need advertising and we need to raise money and all that. So I went around the industry, and luckily enough, we ended up eventually raising over £1 million from scratch. So that was pretty good. We charged people.
So this is just you calling people up?
Pretty much, yeah.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, and obviously there's people working with me, helping and all that. But yeah, but basically it was just saying to people, look, give us £10 per employee, and we will make you part of this campaign. And as part of it, we'll stick you on a job board, so people can apply for your job. But that wasn't the main point. The main point was change the perception of hospitality. And it's going to take years to do.
Wish I knew you when I was doing my Just Go Fund page when I dressed up as an emu for charity. I made 50 quid. £1 million. That's mental.
So it was all right.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Next time.
I know you know, so I'll be following you up.
And then we also raised £1 million on top of free creative help. So we got in with a group called the IPA, so the Institute of Practitioners for Advertising.
Yeah.
It was a guy that I knew from years ago, Julian Douglas, and he said, would you like to be part of our 10X scheme, which is we spot social problems, although it's a first world problem, you not getting a coffee in the morning, not being able to stay in a hotel, not getting an evening meal, it's massive effect, right, on the local community and economy and all these things.
Yeah.
So Julian says, do you want to be part of that? So absolutely. So he brought us then the 10 best agencies in the world to work on it for free.
Wow.
So we had people like Rory Sutherland, who's one of the greatest thinkers in the world, bar none.
Wow.
We had the Army's recruitment team, brand recruitment team
the seed
globally.
of the idea you had, you then went and got the team that did the...
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So it was like having an Oasis cover band and Noel and Liam wanted to join, do you know what I mean? So it was like, wicked, let's do that.
Yeah.
So, and then we had Google, or sort of one of Google's agencies and Amazon's lead creative agency doing the creative. So, and many, many others. We had like the best agency in the UK for TikToks, all ran by 24-year-olds and mad. And I just stay out their way. I mean, I'm the old guy now, so I just basically go, you know.
24 is a bit old for TikTok. I mean, 19.
This is a director's, you know. But yeah, so anyway, so all that. And so we had this dream team. And then what the Army guys came back and said was, look, we'll do some research. And there was phrases like, I'd rather work in hospitality for... 9 hours than a call centre for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And then we got all this feedback about there's some people who are young, 23, 24, and they're running £2 million, £3 million hospitality businesses. And it's, they're the leader of that. Yeah. And we thought, well, it's never boring hospitality. That's what the insight, it was where we got to. So it's never boring.
Yeah.
And every day's different, all these things. and you can't go further faster. So I'd struggle to name another industry that you could go further faster than hospitality, because they do just take it on merit. It doesn't matter about age, or, you know, if you've got the right attitude,
Yep.
it's a psychological hire. It doesn't matter what school you went to, you could be the next CEO or whatever. And not everyone wants to be either. Some people just want to be great at their job. So I've had loads of arguments with people, you know, who run hospitality businesses, where they think that every person wants to be a pub manager, and it's like, they don't. Some people just want to be great at their job, and they love it, and it's enough. And but where we need to get better is rewarding, recognising them for just staying there, because not everyone makes a great manager.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know,
Apart from, well, you're looking at one.
So then we launched it a year ago now. Pretty much Friday was the 1 year anniversary. So the stats that came back were we helped change perception from, or, you know, consideration from 1 in 5 people would consider working in hospitality. It's now 1 in 3. So we did really well. We've had 252,000 job application starts since a year ago.
Wow.
We reached over half of 18 to 30-ish year olds in the UK at least once.
So you reached half the population of young
18
people. 18,
yeah, that was who we were going after. So again, back to Gary Vee, attention, saying.
Amazing. Stats are huge.
It was great.
Well, the whole thing is amazing. I mean, from raising £2 million to getting the best 10 agencies in the world to delivering the results. I mean, and this isn't even your main gig.
No, this is on the side. This was to try and give back to the industry. But from the ads as well, 75% of people under 30 said it would make them more likely to want to work in hospitality.
Yep.
And then 46% of people said that they could recall the campaign. That wasn't bad for the money, because, I mean, we're so appreciative of the million, but in real terms, like, $1 million gets you nothing. So, you know, we did pretty well with that. But the ads look like Fortnite, the game, or, you know, some sort of hyper-real Japanese sort of thing. They don't look like adverts at all. And we got a grime track made, like, to go on top of it as well. And there was chat about making that Christmas number one, all these things. But it was just great fun. And what was great was I had a brilliant board round about me, and they just let me get on with it. So we're all pretty pleased. Now the big question is year 2, because it's getting easier to hire people. Money's never been tougher than it is now for people. We're weighing up our options about how we can best serve hospitality operators next year.
Which leads into my next question, which is, what's the state of the restaurant industry at the moment?
Well, I mean, you're hearing horror stories, you know, both ways, but I mean, it's less the state of the industry and more kind of what's happening consumer behaviour wise. You know, that's what I'd always look at, because I always sort of believe you can control what you can control. So, you know, you can't get spooked at, you know, I think, is it pubs are under 100,000 now or something crazy number like that. So, you know, all these closures happening, there's people going out of business left, right and centre, but people still want to eat and drink out. So basically there's just been a massive shift in what people are doing. Because you get more home working, more hybrid working, people do have less to spend. And they're making those choices. But it feels like lunches are a casualty now, especially mid-market. Because if you're going out for a treat, there's probably enough of those, you know, to happen. It's kind of you at that £30 price mark that is a real worry. You know, 20, 30, you know, for lunches. People aren't dropping £60 and £80 for lunch anymore. No. People also trading up to the weekend, so early dinners, in terms of early in the week, is getting tougher as well. So people are trading up to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and, you know, Sunday will be fine, Sunday roasts and all that. So it's just more important than ever, really, for you. I mean, it's really simple, this. Have a great space, have a great team, have reasons to come back, you know, have a great meal. You can't, and this is what many people are guilty of, and this is why they're getting punched in the mouth right now, is they would open the doors and do that. And then it was just always, oh, it was the weather, oh, it was this, oh, it was that,
it's
it was
always
that.
a
reason. Yeah.
But I think you've just always got to give people reasons to come back. And if your food looks good enough and, you know, you can play with those price points, because I think people are going to need to be, in terms of operators, are going to need to be really flexible now to say, right, breakfast, they need to act differently 3 times a day. And it can't, because a lot of menus as well, it's similar-ish menu to the evening, and the price points are kind of similar. And I think people are going to need to sort of just look at that and change that up. And also just figure out what do customers want and how can you best serve that. Because part of the problem with a lot of places is we sell this and there's no flexibility.
Right.
And also you've got a lot of fancier chefs that will do it for them. I want to put this on the menu. Well, actually, it's maybe not
Yeah.
what customers want. And not enough market research is done in hospitality either to actually talk to customers and go, what do you want? How can we best serve you? So there's a lot of complexity, but you have to be street fighting now for every single sale. I think we rely too much on organic social media as marketers, like definitely marketers under 40, where it's about, oh, well, I've done 3 posts today on social, what more do you want? Well, would it not be better you going round sending out, sampling? You know, if you look at Gordon Ramsay and, you know, in terms of, I mean, lots of people have different opinions on him, but when he does his Kitchen Nightmares programmes and all that, first thing he does is, apart from sorting out family disputes and all that, is he goes out and samples. He takes the best of their food, shrinks the menu down, what are you great at, and he takes it out to the seafront, or he has a wee stall, or he goes round local businesses.
Yeah.
The Shoom have just opened the Permit Room in Brighton, so brand new concept from them, sort of wet lead with food, which you should definitely go to. But in terms of that, one of the first things they were doing to go and meet all the neighbours.
Yeah.
They went round them all.
Yeah.
It's giving them samples, treating them to lunch, getting them down.
Because that's the core of your business. Local is the core of your business. Isn't it? Yeah.
So-
And then just quickly on the Permit Room as well, I mean, attention to detail is astonishing, but you'd expect that from the Shoom, right?
Yeah.
But in terms of Thursday night, there was the opening party. So it was down there, and I was sort of waiting, and there was a couple of folk trying to get in. And anyway, they couldn't get in because it was a party. But the way the person dealt with it, just like, so sorry, I hate turning people away, I just feel so bad. And the whole thing. And then it was like, A, here's contact details, just let me know when you want to come back and I'll sort you out. B, and she had little breakfast cards on her to say free bacon and egg naan, or sausage and egg naan, or sausage naan, veggie sausage naan as well, with bottomless chai on us. You know, come down one morning, we'll see you.
They will come back.
For
They'll be loyal. They'll be
all
loyal.
day long.
Yeah.
All day long.
Brilliant.
So in the borough of Bromley, in the city or town of Bromley, right? I've noticed that all the restaurants are shutting down at like 10 o'clock during the week.
Yeah.
So how I noticed was we came out of the cinema one night, went to go in a restaurant. There were still people eating. There were still people in there. I won't mention the restaurants, but 3 of them did exactly the same.
Casual
approach.
dining.
Casual dining. So, all 3 restaurants the same approach. No, we're closing now. Just go away. Right. So it's like, okay, I remember that.
Yeah.
Why
yeah,
is
you
this?
do.
Why? Staff.
No, because they were shutting at 10, right? I didn't know they were shutting at 10. It was probably like 1:45. They didn't want any more customers because they wanted to close on time.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, okay, if you'd have just said, look, I'm really sorry, we're closing.
And then are these franchise places?
Yeah.
All right. So if it's in a little Italian,
Or sort of chain.
it'd be different, wouldn't it? Yeah, come in.
Yeah.
Come and have
Which
mama's
brings-
pasta.
Yeah.
brings me on to
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Beautiful segue because it brings me on to the next thing.
Oh, yeah.
So I was born in Venice, little island off Venice. And what I love about Italy, it's true. I'm not making it
No,
up.
sorry, mate. I just imagined you as you've got gills in your side of your neck and stuff, like, floating around in Venice. Sorry, God. Just a weird thing popped into my head.
No, that's fine.
Webbed feet.
There's a
I wonder
bobbin
why
gag
you
in there
went
as well, yeah.
So 2 things. When I was growing up, one, you didn't eat out very often because your grandma could cook.
Uh-huh.
Right,
Your
okay.
nonna.
Your nonna could cook,
Nonna,
right?
yeah.
But more importantly, when you did go and eat out, right, your nonna was very kind of specific. It's like, we're not going there because his food's not up to scratch anymore,
Yeah.
right? And so it wasn't even about the ambience and everything else. It was very much like, if we're going to eat out, one, it's got to be better than Nonna's, right? That's the first thing.
Yeah.
And secondly, you better be on your game because Nonna will tell 12 other people who will tell 12 other people, right? And that's how restaurants used to close in our neck of the woods.
Still
right?
is. Yeah, it still is.
Exactly.
And that's what so many people don't get. It's about a price point and throughput and all these robotic factors. But I love it when you are with people who truly are hospitality people.
Yeah.
So, Dave Strauss at Bush on Racine, Will at Hawksmoor, Dishoom, obviously, Pizza Pilgrims Boys, Honest Burger as well. These people, it almost didn't matter. I mean, Prep was like this as well. Profit didn't matter.
Yeah.
Sales didn't matter.
It was the passion.
Do all the right things.
Yeah.
And that's
And that
the
comes.
applause, at the end,
Yeah.
And we never ever worried about that.
So do restaurants now have to have a different plan to sort of look at different audiences, or is it the same thing, or is it not as complicated as that? Is it the food that drives it? So whether you're actually going in for the actual experience, or whether you're ordering online, do you have to look at it in multi ways, or is it part of?
I think the answer is 90x% or 98% of restaurants don't have or understand loyalty whatsoever.
Yeah.
Because what we don't get in hospitality is lots of money to play with.
Yeah.
So you don't have a big marketing spend.
Yeah.
And with so many companies, your marketing spend is like 1.5% of top line.
Yeah.
Which is nothing, and that'll include printing of menus and everything, sometimes even your wages and all that.
Yeah.
So you've not got a lot to play with. So a loyalty programme can cost money. And also, it's not only that, you need someone to analyse that, what's going on. You need someone to sit down and go, oh, well, that happened on that day and that's because of that. So I would love hospitality to get to the place where they truly understood customer behaviour.
Yeah.
The best way you can do loyalty is, I always talk about ABCD, so always be collecting data.
Yep.
So it means so much more to me if I go into a restaurant or a cafe or whatever it is and they just remember you.
Yeah.
They might even remember your name.
Yeah.
They might even remember an order.
Yeah.
They might remember your daughter.
Yeah.
And
It means so much.
it's huge. It's everything,
Yeah.
right? And I and it just someone, right? I've got silly glasses on, whatever. And if they just remembered about that, or they asked me about it in their mail, or that you're Scottish, or that just being recognised is it makes you feel so. And I'm not saying that sort of dick move, which is I know the owner and all that stuff, and you expect the staff to do a dance and give you a free drink. There's a lot of Instagrams about that and TikToks about that. But yeah, so I think that's a big thing. I'd love to get into the science of what would make someone come back more often, what would make them bring someone else, what would make them order more when they're there, what would make them evangelise about you, all these things.
Yeah.
And then you can start to see people with similar behaviours in other cities that then you should open next. And do you know what I mean? That's where I'd love us to get to.
Well, Mark, it's been fantastic.
Thank you for having me.
very, very much. We've covered a lot.
We have
of ground.
time. See you later.
No, thank you very much. I've been really looking forward to this for the last couple of months since we talked. We've covered a lot of ground, and some of your stories have just been fantastic in terms of all the learnings, but not just in terms of loyalty in restaurants, but social media and everything else. So really appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Great to see you.
Actually, I could go on. I could talk to him for hours.
Yeah.
Couldn't you?
I could. In fact, you know what we should do? Fancy Dishoom one night?
Oh, for sure. We should do that.
Dishoom?
Yeah.
100%.
Because we've been trying to go out for dinner for ages, haven't we?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Definitely.
Okay.
Is that mushrooms? Oh no, sorry.
Anyway, thanks for tuning into another fantastic
No,
episode.
they're good apparently
What, mushrooms?
for depression and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They're developing it, aren't they? But anyway,
Yeah.
not that I don't know anything on.
No. Well,
I'm mad enough without the gear anyway. So, you can cut that bit out. Oh,
brilliant. Thanks very
Done.
much, mate. Yeah.
it's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
Yeah, not a chicken wrap.
I was just conscious of time because I've got to get you back to Brighton for 5. But
Yeah.
Right. Oh, blimey! Have you bought the Ferrari?
yeah,